Hello, welcome to your astrological insights for the week of May 11th. I'm Stephanie from Immersive Spirit, and if last week had you feeling like you were moving through deep water, heavy, visceral, and emotionally dense, you were reading the sky correctly. We've been in the final stretch of a lunar cycle that asked us to feel everything. This week, that energy doesn't disappear, but it does transform. And by Saturday, everything culminates in one of the most powerful new moon moments of the year so far. We're going to drop the big picture summaries going forward, or at least for a little while, and just break this down each day for our day by day. Maybe avoid some of that repetition for you, save you a little time in your day. So we begin the week on Monday in the dreamy depths of the Pisces moon, with one transit to anchor us. The moon in Pisces sextile Mercury and Taurus at 9:42 p.m. Late in the evening, the emotional body and the thinking mind find easy communication. This is a sextile, an opportunity aspect, suggesting that what you feel tonight can actually be expressed or understood. Dreams are vivid. Conversations that happen late in the evening carry weight. If something needs to be said or heard, this is a gentle invitation to speak from the heart. Our highs for Monday include emotional clarity, intuitive insight, ease of expression late in the evening. Our lows Monday include tendency towards spaciness or an emotional overwhelm if you're not really grounded. Overall, though, our tone for Monday is quiet, receptive, and soft. A nice, gentle way to start our week ahead. Tuesday spans two distinct energies as the moon moves from Pisces into Aries in the evening. First, the moon in Pisces trine Jupiter in Cancer at 1:29 a.m. In the very early hours, an expansive, flowing connection between the emotional body and Jupiter's abundance, making us emotionally generous, hopeful, and spiritually open. Then the moon in Pisces sextile Sun in Taurus at 3:22 a.m., offering harmony between feeling and being and a quiet middle of the night integration. Next, the moon in Pisces square Venus in Gemini at 4:04 a.m., with brief tension between emotional depth and the desire for variety and lightness. You may wake from a dream feeling slightly restless. This passes pretty quickly. Now, the moon enters Aries at 6:03 p.m., and the energy is going to shift from soft to spark. The moon in Aries is fast, direct, and forward moving. And then the moon in Aries sextile Uranus and Gemini at 7:44 p.m. and a fresh intuitive and those downloads arrive for us, bringing some creative thinking and unexpected connections in the early evening. Finally, on Tuesday, Mercury and Taurus sextile Jupiter and Cancer at 10:43 p.m. And this is the gem of our Tuesday evening, with Mercury and Jupiter in a harmonious conversation. This aspect expands your thinking, it opens up communication, and it can bring welcome news. It's an opportunity, a yes, a generous exchange. It favors writing, teaching, sharing ideas, and planning with optimism. Our highs for Tuesday include the late evening Mercury, Jupiter as communications open, optimism rises, and opportunities emerge. Our lows include the early morning fog from overnight Pisces transits, with possible morning sluggishness. The tone overall for Tuesday is ultimately dreamy in the morning, moving to an activated and optimistic evening. On Wednesday, the moon in Aries conjuncts Neptune at 12:20 a.m., highlighting a dissolution of the self's edges. And I know that's very early or very late if you're up the night before, right? Ah, allergies, anyone? Woo! All right, vivid dreaming, emotional sensitivity, spiritual openness. The protective energy is thin this night. Tend to yourself gently. Then the moon in Aries sextile Pluto retrograde in Aquarius in the early hours, bringing an opportunity to access deep emotional truth. Something under the surface wants to rise. Next, our balsamic moon in Aries at 7:32 a.m. The lunar cycle reaches its sacred exhale, the final phase before Saturday's new moon. This is a time for release and rest and really turning inward. Let go of what you've been carrying that isn't meant for the next cycle and get rest where you can. Now we have Vesta entering Aries at 10:12 a.m., and the sacred keeper of the flame is in that Aries fire. Your devotion finds a new spark. What are you truly dedicated to right now? What deserves the full, focused attention of your inner fire? Around noon, the moon in Aries conjunct Saturn and structure meets emotion, which can be grounding, clarifying, and a little bit sobering. It's a moment to get serious about what you're releasing and what you're committed to as you move towards that new moon. Finally, for Wednesday, Pallas in Aries sextile Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, offering strategic wisdom in harmonious dialogue with deep transformation. Decisions made tonight carry depth and perception. Our highs for Wednesday include Vesta's rekindled devotion and that Pallas Pluto strategic clarity, as well as the sacred invitation of the balsamic time from our moon, correct, right? Doing the release. Our lows include the moon Neptune overnight confusion, emotional thinness, and the fatigue that can come from the balsamic moon phase. Wednesday's tone overall, though, is really threshold energy. It's tender, it's introspective, and it's preparing us for what's going forward. Hi, if you've been curious about what the stars actually have to say about your life, now is the perfect time to find out. I'm offering 30% off astrological readings right now over at immersivespirit.com. Whether you're navigating a big transition, trying to understand your patterns, or just ready to see your chart through fresh eyes, I've got you. Grab your discount code from the show notes below and head to immersivespirit.com. Use your discount code to book a reading before May 17th because that's when this offer expires. Links are below. I'd love to read for you. And now back to astrological insights. Now, as we move into Thursday, the moon in Aries square Jupiter in Cancer, 5:40 a.m., bringing growth pressure at dawn. Big feelings pushing against that container. At 8:24 a.m., Mercury in Taurus conjuncts the sun, which is a Mercury Cazimi for us, and the day's really defining transit. Mercury at the exact heart of the sun in Taurus. It's illumination, it's clarity that's felt in the body, not just in the mind. What arrives in consciousness this morning has roots to it, so pay attention. Around noon, the moon in Aries sextile Venus in Gemini with a brief softening. Social ease, aesthetic pleasure, and some connection without pressure. Then Mercury in Taurus conjunct Ceres just a few minutes later, and the Cazimi clarity turns toward nourishment. What feeds you? What have you been hungry for? What cycles of care you're ready to really return to? Conversations about what sustains you hold extra weight today. Later in the day, the moon in Aries conjunct Mars at 3:32 p.m., bringing a surge of energy and drive. Channel this into action, not reaction. When the moon in Aries conjunct Chiron at 5:44 p.m., something tender arises around your capacity to begin, to assert, and to be seen. This may just be a small preview of Saturday's Mars Chiron healing coming your way. The evening becomes quieter, slower, more embodied when the moon enters Taurus at 8:31 p.m. Then the sun in Taurus conjunct Ceres at 8:46 p.m. and identity, purpose, what sustains you are deeply aligned for tonight. Nourish yourself, be in your body, and remember to rest. Our highs for Thursday are definitely that Mercury Cazimi when profound clarity is arriving, and then the sun Ceres at night offering some really deep nourishment. Our lows Thursday include the moon Mars mid-afternoon, bringing some potential agitation, and then the moon Chiron emotional tenderness late afternoon. The tone overall for Thursday, though, is activating, clarifying, and then deeply settling. So an emotional day. Or an emotional roller coaster, maybe a little of both. On Friday, yay, happy Friday, the moon in Taurus square Pluto retrograde in Aquarius at 5:24 a.m. An early morning square. What are you not willing to look at? Pluto retrograde is reviewing power, transformation, and truth. The Taurus moon squares it, highlighting tension between comfort and what change requires. This can bring pressure or a confrontation with something that you've been avoiding. Just a wee 7 minutes later, the moon in Taurus sextile North Node retrograde in Pisces, bringing a softening and an invitation. The North Node in Pisces asks for surrender and spiritual trust. The Taurus moon sextiles it, confirming what nourishes you is aligned with where your soul is going. Friday's highs have the moon sextile North Node sharing what you value is aligned with your soul's direction. Great news. Friday's lows have the Moon Pluto square, where your buried intensity surfaces really early in the day. Overall, though, our tone for Friday is quiet but probing. It's kind of like pressure before the big release. Boiling water in a pot, anyone? So early Saturday, we have Vesta in Aries, sextile Uranus and Gemini, where that sacred flame harmonizes with unexpected inspiration. What you've devoted to takes an inspired and surprising turn. Then the moon in Taurus sextile Jupiter in Cancer at 6:39 a.m., bringing an emotionally expansive and generous morning. The body feels good, and your optimism, it's accessible this morning. Next, we have Mars and Aries conjunct Chiron at 1:34 p.m., and our warrior meets the wound. There it is. In Aries, this conjunction is asking you to stop protecting the wound and start acting through it. Whatever has kept you from beginning, from asserting, from taking up space, this is the moment to walk directly through it. Healing through action and bravery through honesty. Just 26 minutes later, we have our new moon in Taurus at 2 p.m., planting that healed charge in Taurus's fertile soil. What do you want to grow? What do you want to nourish? What matters enough to tend? Set intentions rooted in your body, your senses, your values, your relationship with pleasure and presence. I'm not talking about vision board abstraction, but embodied, specific, and sensory intention. Next, the moon in Taurus conjuncts Mercury at 7:02 p.m., giving you an opportunity for a beautiful closing ritual. Write your intentions down, give them a voice. What the heart planted, let the mind record. At 8:22 p.m., the moon enters Gemini, bringing a lighter, faster, and curious energy. Finally, late Saturday, the moon in Gemini conjunct Uranus, sharing late evening electricity, unexpected thoughts, and maybe some surprising connections for you. The seed just planted is already beginning to hum. Our highs for Saturday definitely include that new moon and our Mars Chiron bringing the most potent manifestation really window for our week. Our lows are also Mars Chiron as it can feel really raw before it feels really healing. So give yourself space, give yourself a lot of compassion. Overall, our tone for Saturday is ceremonial, it's cathartic, and it's electric by night. Finally, it's Sunday, and we begin with the moon in Gemini, sextile Neptune in Aries at 2:15 a.m., bringing some inspired and intuitive overnight energy. Your dreams, they may carry some messages. Next, Mercury enters its home sign of Gemini at 4:26 a.m. The mind becomes lighter, faster, more curious, and communicative. The heaviness of Taurus gives way to agile thinking, quick connections, and the desire to share. A brief tension between information and surrender, between the busy mind and the soul's call to release, and trust as the moon in Gemini square North Node retrograde in Pisces at 4:35 a.m. Acknowledge it, then return to curiosity. Then a piece of the puzzle clicks for us as the moon in Gemini trines Pluto retrograde in Aquarius at 5 o'clock a.m., sharing a deep, flowing connection between emotional intelligence and transformational truth. Grace meets the wound. Venus in Gemini's playful, relational, beautiful in words and connection. It reaches a hand to Chiron as it sextiles at 12:04 p.m. It's healing through beauty, through conversation, through being gently seen. Then the moon in Gemini sextiles Saturn in Aries at 1:35 p.m., highlighting how structure supports the mental activation. It's grounding for the electric mind. Finally, to wrap our week, Mercury in Gemini conjuncts Uranus at 6:10 p.m., showering us with the week's electric grand finale. Mercury and Uranus in the same degree in Gemini is a lightning mind moment. It's breakthroughs, unexpected insights, ideas that feel like they arrived from nowhere but are actually the seed planted Saturday, now speaking their first words. Pay attention to what arrives this evening and write it down. This is the frequency of your new moon intention finding its voice. And it's finding it now. That's fantastic. It's early. Our highs Sunday are definitely that Mercury Uranus breakthrough thinking, the electric downloads, and insights that matter. Our lows will include some mental overload, probably some scattered energy, and overstimulation possibility. Overall, though, our tone for Sunday is electric, fast, and revealing. Close your week with curiosity. It's a big week. So, as we zoom out, the through line for this week is really a journey from the wound to seed, to plant that planting moment, right? We begin in the dissolving waters of the Pisces moon, where we're feeling, releasing, and preparing to let go. We move through the balsamic threshold of Aries, where Vesta rekindles our sacred flame, and the balsamic moon invites us to exhale the last of what no longer belongs. I know it was cheesy, but it's true. We arrive at Thursday's profound Cazimi, Mercury at the heart of the sun of Taurus, and receive clarity not as a concept that is really a felt truth. It's a knowing in the body. And then, in a 26-minute span on Saturday afternoon, Mars walks directly into Chiron's wound in Aries, and a new moon plants what will heal directly into the earth. The wound becomes the seed. What you've carried as an ache around your right to begin, to assert, to be someone who takes up space and act with courage, that ache is going to become part of the very thing that you plant. And by Sunday, Mercury and Uranus and Gemini will be broadcasting the first frequency of that new beginning. So this week's question that I have for the community, with Mars conjunct Chiron in Aries and the new moon in Taurus arriving within just moments of each other, this is a week about planting what has been healed. What is the one thing you're ready to begin or begin again that your wound once told you just wasn't possible? Drop it in the comments. I'd love to celebrate this start or restart with you. All right. That's it for the week of May 11th, 2026. Enjoy. I'm Stephanie at Astrological Insights and from Immersive Spirit. And until next week, stay grounded and keep looking up.